Why and how I chose to move to Cyprus. So on the 29th of March of this year, which is 2025, I packed my bags, packed up my house and came to live in Cyprus. It's now getting on for probably the 29th of July, so it's near enough 4 months to the date. 29th of July tomorrow, actually, it's 28th today. There's so many reasons for it. It probably seems like a bit of a mad decision to most people, kind of looking inward at this. But it happened, I'm here. You know, a lot of the time it doesn't seem real. It doesn't seem like this has happened. It's just like I just decided to do it one day and off I went, and that's genuinely how it all went down, if I'm perfectly honest. And yeah, I mean, the reasons were many. Taxation was one, certainly. I set up my own business again in the previous May, so I moved in the March of the following year, so I've been in business for about 8 or 9 months. You know, taxation in the UK was certainly a factor. As of this day, I have not moved my business to Cyprus as yet, but I am in the process of doing so, and I probably will do it within this financial year. You know, health, fitness, food, way of life, stuff like that. They were all really, really key factors for me wanting to do it. And, you know, there's just so much more to the story, I suppose. But, you know, I'd had 3 businesses previously. 2 I'd sold to international investors. 1 I'd dissolved, which is the same basic business model as the one I run now. So I run a business consulting firm in the UK, clients in London, work remotely, that kind of thing. So that's what I do most days. That's what I'm building most days. And I just didn't want to stay in the UK anymore in a cold, wet climate. Kind of misery, dark, depressing weather, you know, food not being great, health not being great, and just wanted a change. And I didn't want to keep living the same year over and over again, because that's how I felt my life was going. And then I ended up here, and there's certainly been a lot of challenges since I've been here. I think you learn a lot. I think we all think that our life is going to be a certain way before we actually move, which I'll get into in another video. But the basics of it were, you know, I wanted a better life for myself. I wanted some sunshine, 300 days of sunshine here, better food, much better food here. Cyprus is not cheaper, really, for food or for living or anything like that, but it was just kind of the break that I needed. I don't regret it. I'm still finding my feet. I think I'm going to be finding my feet for a long time, years in fact. And I think when I talk to other people about stuff, then, you know, they just associate it with a holiday, and it's definitely not like that. It's definitely hard work still, but they are the reasons that I chose to go. And I think for most people looking inwardly, you know, my parents, my family, my friends, stuff like that, they will look at this situation and think that, well, I know they look at this situation and they think that I'm mad, or that I'll be back soon, or it's just another thing that I'm doing, or whatever, you know. And for me, it kind of isn't, you know, it's wanting a better life for myself. It's wanting to be in a position where I can actually save money in my business. I just don't feel like anyone can do that in the UK if you're running a business. Now, I'm running basically a lifestyle business. I only employ myself. I do whatever work I want to do. I'm building slowly in a number of different areas. And as long as I've got enough money to pay my bills, then that's all that matters. So I think it's up to the individual if they want to do something the same. Now, obviously, I'd looked into other countries for years, so this wasn't as much of a knee-jerk reaction as I sometimes make it out to be. You know, I'd looked into different places in Europe, the typical places people go, you know, to Portugal, Spain, Italy. Now, I think the thing that made me decide on Cyprus more than anything was just the fact that it was a lot easier in terms of English language ability, and what was possible here, I think. So that was a lot of it, like the ease of it, the simplicity of it, the simplicity of taxation here and stuff like that. So tax here generally, as a breakdown, is 0% on dividends, i.e. what you pay yourself through your business. Obviously compared to the UK, when I think I was paying it's about 66% in real terms, because it's a 6-figure salary and over 100,000, between 100 and 125, you lose your personal allowance. So the actual rate is about that plus when you add on, student loan payments and other payments and all the payments you have to make through your business as well, it's a big difference. I would say the only difference here is that it costs a lot more to run your business in Cyprus than it does in the UK, in terms of accountancy fees, in terms of solicitor fees and other things that you have to pay for. Even just business setup is more expensive, a lot more expensive. So all of that has to be taken into account as well. But then if you think about the complexity of doing something like this in Italy or Spain or Portugal, it's very, very different. So there's all of that to consider as well. So I think they were my reasons. I know a few people in Malta who were considering relocating here, and I've met other people since I've been in Cyprus who are doing the same. Moving their business out of the UK, or they're travelling, or they're digital nomads, and they need somewhere to base their accountancy stuff. So, Cyprus has this deal where you can do 60 days, or you can stay all year. I chose to stay all year because that's more easier for me. I packed up all the things I own. They are now living in my car, and that's what I'm doing right now, so it's just not that easy to move around. In some ways, I've said before in other videos that I regret not kind of travelling more, or bringing the car over, or spending 3 months in Europe, or spending 3 months in Cyprus, going to Europe for 3 months and just hopping between the two for a bit, and not going straight into the visa process, not going straight into getting a permanent property and stuff like that. I could have had more fun in the mix of doing this, I think. And, personally, if I had a regret, it's that. But I can't really change that now. Like I say, I brought everything with me. It's not that easy to just be traveling the world with 3 massive bags, and and then obviously you can put stuff in storage or whatever, but then it's an expense, isn't it? So what's the point? So this is this quick story of how and why I moved, and I have no regrets on that front. I'm starting to, it's like 4 months, I'm starting to miss things from home. I look forward to going home. I mean, I don't know how I will feel when I do go home for a couple of weeks, and whether I want to stay and stuff like that, but I just feel like there's more advantages to living here, for me personally. And, I think once I'm a bit more settled with the business, the more money's coming in, I can travel a bit more, I can rest a bit more, I can do a bit more here. At the moment, there's a lot of stuff very much up in the air, and, lots of things going on, whether it's working on my visa, whether it's, thinking about where to live or whatever. There's a lot to be considered still, I think. But, I think it's possible. When I came over, so basically the real story is when I came over in December. Now, I've not been to Cyprus in 20 years. So the story is not one of, I've been here on holiday for 20 years and I just decided to move. That was not it. I'd been to Cyprus once before with an old boyfriend many years ago. It wasn't a great holiday. In fact, it was one of the worst holidays I've ever had. But I think I wasn't even based in Paphos. But I kind of knew Cyprus was a viable concern. I saw a lot of stuff online about how other people were living here and stuff like that, and what they were doing something similar. So it was definitely on my radar. And then I decided to take a holiday here for 2 weeks. It got extended to 4. So I had 2 weeks holiday in a nice hotel. It was very much a rest for me. And then I decided to hire a car and then travel for 2 weeks. So I left Paphos, and I went to the other cities to see what they were like and stuff like that, because I was trying to think about where I was going to live at that point even. Over that period, over the Christmas time, into the new year, I had appointments with solicitors and accountants to ask the questions, whether it was possible, about having non-dom status, about setting up my business here and all that kind of thing. So I kind of knew legally it was possible. I knew what the situation was with the visa. I knew that what I needed to do and how I needed to do it. So all of that was ironed out, and then I kind of went home for 6 weeks, and then I came back again. I think I did 2 more trips like that over the summer, and then that was it. And then I ended up moving, and I gave myself 3 weeks from being home. I was renting a house in the UK, so I sold my car, sold my stuff, packed my bags, and the rest is history. So that's what I decided to do. And I think I am someone that does jump in with both feet. That is very true. I don't deny that. But I think sometimes you can't stop doing that, and realistically, I always go into this story, and I think it's the pinnacle, because I think everyone has a turning point. Everyone gets up to a point, maybe at home or in the UK or wherever they are, and they're like, I really just want to change my life. I'm in my 40s, I've had many jobs, I've never really settled in any job I've ever had. I feel like working for myself is the only option now. And the thing that really kind of made me make a decision was my grandmother dying. So she died on her birthday on the 22nd of November last year, and I had no reason to stay. Now, I would never have left her in the final stages of her life, and I did everything I could for her. But for me, that was the turning point of me going, right, I need to do something for myself now. Everyone's getting older at home, I'm getting older, my parents are getting older, but I just didn't see a point of me staying in the UK and just kind of keep on doing the same old thing. Just, I do contract work, so some days I've got work, some days I haven't, or some months I have and some months I haven't. And I just wanted to, I always say this, but I wanted to work on the balcony in the sunshine. Now, I'm currently in Nicosia at the moment, where the average daily temperature is about 45 degrees Celsius. I'm not spending any time outside. I'm spending all my day inside in the sunshine. But as you can see, I've got a nice light-filled apartment, and it's a beautiful place, and I'm grateful for every minute that I'm here for. So yeah, I just didn't want to be in the cold and the wet anymore. I wanted to change, I wanted to meet new people, I wanted to do new things, I wanted to just change my life, really. And that's how I ended up here. And I genuinely have no regrets. It's that's just the story, But no, I'll definitely upload more videos, and if you've got any questions about this and my journey, then definitely leave them below and stuff like that. And I look forward to sharing more of my stories of being here and living in Cyprus and making more videos like this, as opposed to my little short style videos of my day-to-day life, because I know people have contacted me before, they have questions as well. So as I go through the visa process and I go through other things, then I will do more content on that as well. At the moment, I'm just in the middle of it, so I can't really say much. But no, that was it. I moved for myself, for a change, midlife crisis, whatever you want to call it. And every day is a challenge, I suppose. There are many issues right now in my life, which I tend to document more on TikTok and upload on my short stuff. But yeah, that there are, and living here isn't perfect or easy, but it's different to the UK. But I definitely prefer it. I'll be honest. I miss my family, I miss food, I miss stuff at home, but I know that I'm only a short flight away. And being here versus somewhere like Dubai or which is another option, of course, that's where a lot of people go, isn't it? Or Thailand and the usual kind of places, Bali, etc. is, I'm closer to home. I'm a 5-hour flight away. It's not a big deal. I'm still in Europe, so there's many advantages to that as well. But no, that's it in a nutshell. That's how and why I moved to Cyprus 4 months ago. And this is just the start of my journey. So I look forward to sharing more with you.